Put them on for those.
Regular pledge.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending our July 2024 Town of Troutman Council meeting. For those that may not be familiar, I am not the mayor. I'm not T. Ross Young. I'm Mayor Pro Tem Jerry Oxshire, filling in for T. Ross Young. He could not be with us, but trust me, I'm not unsupervised. So, all right, yeah, with that being said, I would like to welcome everybody, and we can get started with our invocation by Councilman Paul Hinkle.
Let me bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us make new connections and gain wisdom to do the work that you have set before us. We give you the honor and glory, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you would please stand for our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. So, council does have the agenda for this evening's meeting in front of them. Are there any amendments or adjustments that need to be made by the council? Hearing none, staff?
I would like to add in Roman numeral 7 for closed session, would like to add another section, General Statute 143.318.11. A5, acquisition of property discussion.
So will this be under 8, section 8?
Section 7, closed session.
That's what I get from working from the book. Could I just have that statute number one more time, please?
Yes, sir. 143.318.11 in parentheses A5.
All right, that has been amended. Anything else? So would anyone like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the added section under closed section?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
All right, it receives a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted, and we can move forward. That brings us to section 2, our consent agenda, which are considered non-controversial and routine items by the council. On this list, we do have 4 sets of meeting minutes, a facade approval for Morris Stoneworks at 178 Julian Place, a facade approval for Weather Creek High School, and also consider approval of an interlocal agreement between Mooresville, Davidson, Troutman, Statesville, Cornelius, Huntersville, and the County of Iredell, creating the Lake Norman Regional Transportation Commission. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion we adopt the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
All right, received a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes and the consent agenda is adopted. That moves us on to section 3, which is our standing quarterly reports. And at this point, I would like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Leighton Getzinger from the ABC Board Chairman.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Oxshire and members and town staff and fellow citizens. We're, on behalf of our ABC board, Wes Edmiston, Kim Cabbins, myself, and General Manager Evelyn Coleman, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'll start with, this will be a fourth quarter and a end of fiscal year report. It's going to be, I'm going to rattle off a bunch of numbers, and the numbers that I read out will be the numbers for the quarter just finished, and those, you can consider those to be above the numbers from the previous fiscal or fourth quarter of last year. And with that being said, we had a increase in sales of 14.6% over last year's fourth quarter. Our sales were $855,846, and that was compared to $746,723 from the previous year. In April, we had an increase of 4% over the previous April of $264,287 was the sales for April. May was $311,538, and that was up 13% over last May. And then June was a downturn. We had a 5.5% downturn in sales over the previous June. Our sales for this June were $280,020, and part of that was that we had one less selling day than the previous year. Now, that would make up the difference if it were a weekend day that we were able to have this year compared to last year. Normally a weekend day is anywhere from 14,000 to 16,000, and regular weekdays are somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000. So it would be about the same if it weren't for the shortage of this year. And a weekend, the days fall usually is determining when the weekends are. So anyway, the net profit for the fourth quarter was $83,443. That was a 10% over the net profit was 10% of sales, and that was up 17% over last year's fourth quarter. Fourth quarter distributions will be $24,105 to the town and its entities. There'll be $6,605 to alcohol and drug education, which is DOSI, and then law enforcement will receive $4,718, and that's for a total of $35,428. Now, for the end of the fiscal year, we had an increase of sales of just below 4%. It was a little over 3.9% over last year, and sales this year were $3.33 million compared to $3.2 million last year, and that was an increase of $123,746. And we had a budgeted profit of $145,151, and we had an actual profit of $289,803, which was about 100% over what our budget was. So that was a pleasant surprise. The annual distributions for the year will total for the town and its entities $93,775, and alcohol education will be $23,119. Law enforcement will be $16,513, for a total of $133,407 that will be in distributions, mandatory distributions. Our working capital is currently $333,168, and we did split off finally the working capital, the special capital project, which was approved by council in 2021 to go towards a second store. And so we now have $306,886 in that fund. So we've got a combined total of cash or inventory reserves of $639,351 to go towards the building of the second store. So, in the mandatory allowed, capital retention is 618,000, right at $619,000. Uh, We'll have our annual audit, at the end of this month, and as soon as we have some feedback on that, we'll report that at our next, quarterly, report to you. And just for the fun facts, and I do this realizing that this is being recorded and it goes out and ends up on the rumor mill of, how much, money the store is making and how much of it's going towards the board members. And, just to clarify all that, the board members get none of that. We're volunteers. We do get a small stipend, but, anyway, I want to report that to you because I think it's, something that, is fun to know. And that is, since we opened on December 1st, 2016, we're just shy of $18 million in sales. We've got $17,981,600 in sales. And in distributions, we've made we'll have made with the payment this quarter, $425,826 to the town and its entities. Alcohol education rehab, just short of $100,000, which they've received $97,887. And law enforcement has received right at $70,000, and that's a total of $593,632 in mandatory distributions. We had a net profit over that period of time of $1,330,421. That's 7% of sales, and that money went to pay off the current store, to put on a 2,000 square foot addition to the warehouse on this store, and also to pay cash for the land for the second store. So we, basically, what profits we have taken in, with the exception of the cash reserves that you heard me speak to just a moment ago, that accounts for where all that money went, not to the board members, unfortunately. But, anyway, I'm happy to take any questions you might have or clarify anything that I may have confused you with.
I have a question, and I think that this question may have been asked in one other meeting, but I don't think you were here. I asked about zip codes. Do you all collect zip codes when you make a sale?
No. And I'm trying to think if, about 80% of our sales are credit cards, and I don't know if it would be in the credit cards or not, but we don't, have any way of pulling that out. And we don't keep any kind of a running tally of zip codes. What must not have been here, or.
I don't think you were here. I think
Okay.
I just asked because I would just love to see where these people are coming from. It's a lot of people have said that the people who are buying a lot of this alcohol are not from Troutman. But I would just love to see, maybe a fun fact for me, to see where the people who are buying this alcohol, that's a lot of alcohol. I'm writing down these numbers.
Well,
I know we're not buying all this.
Well, I mean, and again, that's over almost 8 years.
Mhm.
December, end of November will be 8 years that we've been in business. So, but the town has grown. When I say the town, that even to the suburbs of Troutman, I mean, we've got a lot of additional rooftops that have come online since we've been in business. And, but we do get some. I'm sure we capture some traffic that travel 21 from down south coming to work in Statesville, and people that are going home in the evenings, especially. And I do know that we've in the past had some traffic that comes from Statesville after 8 o'clock, because Statesville closes at 8, we stay open till 9, so we get a lot of hustle, in that last hour from outside the.
Right. I can imagine your store down that end will get a lot of the interstate traffic probably.
And we,
Unfortunately, getting back
we
on the road.
yeah, I'm assuming that all those people are gonna buy that and consume it wherever they're
Wherever they
going.
go, right.
Do you separate consumer versus commercial sales?
Well, the commercial sales are what we call our mixed beverage sales, and yes, we do have that broken out. And I don't have those numbers with me, but I can get those for you because, I think since we've been in business, it's just shy of $1 million that we've done in commercial or mixed beverage sales. But we only have, for the longest time, only had just one mixed beverage account, and now we've got 3 regular mixed beverage accounts. So that's another thing that's where a lot of the revenue comes from for the stores like Charlotte and even Mooresville. They have a lot of restaurants that do have mixed beverages in their restaurants, and so that and we collect, a little bit higher revenue from them than we would from, because the state likes to capture that on the front end rather than trying to get the retailer to have to send that in.
Based on recent ABC legislation passed, how is our stores affected? Holidays, opening on traditional holidays and so forth like that, and any other legislation that would affect our local store.
Okay.
Whether we voluntarily can adhere to it or not,
Right.
so to speak.
The biggest thing that has come out in just the last few days is the governor signed some legislation that will allow individual boards to determine if they want to be open the 5, well, except for Christmas and Thanksgiving. There's 5 mandatory holidays a year. That's Labor Day, 4th of July, Christmas, New Year's, and Memorial Day. Okay, and Memorial Day. So we spoke to that last night in our board meeting, and we wanted, because we had one board member not there, we still 2 people constitute a quorum, but we felt like we needed that 3rd person there to weigh in on that. And we also wanted to panel to speak with our staff members to find out how they would feel about it. We would certainly continue to want to celebrate New Year's and be closed for that, but looking at July 4th, Labor Day, and I guess Memorial Day to possibly be open. So at this moment, we tabled it until next month. But
So we basically, assuming that New Year's Day is off the table, 3 that are up in the air for you to discuss at your next
right,
meeting.
and again, that would be in concurrence with the town, our appointing authority, in agreement with it. And that is only if these days do not fall on a Sunday. Sundays are still mandatory close, so regardless of whether it's a holiday or whatever. But so if that holiday, of course, Labor Day would not do that, and Memorial Day, I guess, is always the first Monday after whatever holiday it falls on in May, but usually the last weekend in May. So it really only leaves one other day, and that would be the 4th of July, that would possibly fall on a Sunday somewhere during the timeline. But certainly we would be interested in having any feedback y'all may have, and of course didn't put it on my list of things to bring to you because we haven't yet really decided how we would like to go forward. And it does impact whoever the employees are, but most of our employees are, well, all of our employees except for Evelyn are part-time, and so there would be some that would like to have the additional hours, and it
I'm trying to think, were there any others that affect the store? I know there are some others that were passed that don't, affect the store, ABC store itself, but was that the only?
No,
statute that
there's,
passed?
the mixed beverage, and cocktails to go, but those really affect
The retail.
the
Yes, that's why I
retailers.
was saying, yeah, I know it, I think, another thing, anyhow, like I say, the mixed.
Right.
But, I was saying, it just affect our ABC store,
Right.
just the holiday
Right.
openings and so forth.
That's the biggie for us, and, again, I need to probably go back and just make sure that everything I just told you is complete. If it's not, I'll shoot you, the whole board, email to let you know.
Now, just again, we'll clarify, the store has been paid off, or is currently still being paid off?
The current
Current
store,
store.
yes, we have no debt.
Okay. Especially going into the new building phase,
Right.
free, so.
And we, unfortunately, when we built, well, not unfortunately, but when we built the first store, interest rates were just, next to nothing, and, cost of construction was manageable. But so much has changed since we built that store. We know that we're gonna probably pay twice for what we paid that store for another store, so, we're gonna need a lot more access to cash than what we did for that one. Of course, we had nothing when we built that store. I was around begging everybody in the world, and Doug with us, and
Yeah.
he was mayor at the time, and we were doing tap dancing, we were doing everything. We were standing on the street corner with a hat. Anyway, Eddie, you remember those days.
Well, hey, you got it done, so.
Well, yeah, it was magic. Well,
Have you
any
any
other-
other questions? No? Well, thank you very
Wanna
much.
thank y'all
Every
for the
time you come, it's
opportunity.
good news, so
Appreciate it.
it's great to see you, Mr. Getzinger.
Good to see y'all.
All right, and that brings us to section 4, for those following along on the agenda. Old business. Item number 9, which is a rezoning request. CZRM-24-01, the applicant is Atlas Principles. It is 13.55 acres with PIN number 474-142-8488. Oh, and 2 other PIN numbers, do I need to read those? All right. They're located in the agenda. It is located at 129 and 131 Shermill Lane to rezone from Town of Troutman suburban residential to Town of Troutman conditional zoning mixed residential. This item was continued from our June meeting, and let's see, so with that being said, I will go ahead and open the public hearing and turn it over to Andrew Ventresca, our planning director.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Doing a great job so far tonight.
It ain't over yet.
A little bit of background about this request. The applicant is Atlas Principles LLC. Property is owned by W Holdings LLC. As mentioned, the current zoning is RS, or suburban residential. The request tonight is to go to CZRM, which is conditional zoning mixed residential. The proposed use for this particular development is going to be a 49-unit townhome development. And as mentioned, the property is about 13.5 acres in size. Location of the property, which is on your screen now, it's the 3 properties that are outlined here in red. To the west of the property is the New Life Church. To the southwest of the property is the Jacobs Woods subdivision. And then to the east of the property is the Norman Retaining Walls landscaping business. And we have some vacant land and some other sporadic residential uses along the corridor. Current zoning, as mentioned, I'll mention it again, the current zoning is RS, our suburban residential district, which is the green color you see on your map. The orange color represents town residential, which is quarter-acre minimum lot size. What you see in gray is heavy and light industrial areas, which are just to the east. And then that big blue area way down to the east was the Troutman Logistics property that was rezoned a couple of years back. Land use plan does call for the property to be medium density residential, which is that yellow color you see. Most of the area see in front of you right now is the site plan that's been submitted. As mentioned, it is 49 lots for townhomes. Um, I got my little laser pointer here. The property will be accessed off US 21, and it's got 2 cul-de-sacs. It does consist of 10 buildings, each with 4 or 5 units. Um, it does have a 25-foot buffer around the perimeter of the property. And I will say a little bit of history about the project. The first rendition that was submitted to staff had about 80 townhomes on it. Staff had some communication with the applicants and just let them know that's probably not going to fly here. So the applicants did rework it. They reduced the amount of units to 49, and they opened up the open space to include more green space in the property. So it got down to something that staff felt comfortable bringing in front of you tonight. What you see, we've got some open space that's kind of scattered throughout the development, and we do have the applicant here tonight that kind of can explain more about what their intended uses are in those open spaces. A little bit more about the project. Current density would be 3.62 units per acre. The RM district, just with no conditions on it, would allow up to 12 units an acre, and is currently zoned in the RS district. The maximum is 2 units per acre. Open space, as I mentioned, has been opened quite a bit from the original design. Open space right now is about 55%. RM district, the minimum is 10%. It's currently zoned, the minimum is 10%, so that's quite a significant jump. What they're proposing tonight is a 25-foot buffer around the perimeter of the property, as mentioned. How it's currently zoned, if it's developed in the RS district, no buffers are required. And the last thing we have here is stormwater. On-site stormwater retention is required for this project. If it's developed as RS the way it is, since it's no more than 2 units an acre, no stormwater will be required on site. One last thing I do want to mention about the site plan is US 21 is the corridor for our town greenway on our bicycle and pedestrian plan. So any property on this development that joins US 21 will have to build a segment of the greenway. And I mention that because with our currently funded Richardson Greenway South extension, it ends right at Myers Road, which the entrance to the subdivision is lining up with. So when that's built, it will end right at the property line. So there will be a little extension of the greenway if this project moves forward. I mentioned a couple times current zoning is suburban residential. What this is, it's established as a district in which the principal use of land is for low-density, single-family residence, along with their customary accessory uses. Basically, it's single-family residential at half-acre lots. Land use plan says medium-density residential. This is described as these areas are primarily intended for detached single-family residential development in close proximity to commercial areas and arterial transportation corridors. Public water and sewer provision is required, as are minimum requirements for screening from the main roadway and adjacent properties and larger lot sizes. Densities are typically 2 to 3 units per acre of land for optimum conservation of green space. And it also says in major subdivisions more than 5 lots, variation of lot size, housing types, and price points are required. I bring that up. It mentions detached single-family residential in the first sentence, and then the last sentence specifically mentions variation of housing types. I know we recently redid our land use plan, our future land use map. I think it might be worth going through some of these definitions because I think those 2 sentences could be considered to be in conflict with each other. Watershed and TIA, the property is not located in the watershed, but however, with the density, it will require stormwater measures. The TIA threshold is 50 units. Being that this is a 49-unit proposal, the TIA was not required. We did have the required community meeting for this on April 30th. We had 1 person in attendance. There were no real concerns discussed. Recommendation. As I had mentioned, the proposed density is a little bit over 3. The medium density residential calls for 2 to 3. Staff felt this was close enough, so staff supports it in that aspect. Staff also supports the 55% open space requirement, which is above and beyond what's required in the RM district. So staff does support the project. However, planning board voted 4-0 to deny the project, and their reasoning was it does exceed the 3 units per acre, and again, it's not detached homes. that concludes my portion of the presentation. I mentioned we do have the applicant here to speak on the project, and I'll open it up to the board for any questions you may have for me at this time.
Do we have any questions for Andrew? I have one. You mentioned the greenway.
Mhm.
For some reason, that one wasn't on my radar earlier. Is that, I was flipping through and of course I just closed it, but is that reflected in the site plan?
It's not, but this is a concept plan, so.
Or, sorry, the
Yeah,
concept plan.
This is a concept plan, so when the actual engineering and construction documents come in, it will be required to be on there.
And there'll be enough of a buffer from a potential expansion of 21?
Yes. And then, with our friends from DOT, that potential expansion of 21 is.
All right, okay, Andrew, thank you.
But yes, but we will make sure there's enough right of way that if 21 is eventually expanded, the greenway will not be ripped up.
Thank you.
And I will also add that you all passed a change in our UDO last year that required berms. That's also not reflected there, however, it is in our UDO.
Mhm. So if there are no other questions for Andrew, I understand the applicant is here. Would you like to speak?
Sure.
All right. Please just be sure you signed in and state your name for the record, please.
Sign in now.
Please.
Let everyone know. Thanks for your time.
Sean?
Yeah, my name is Seth Wolfong. I am with Atlas Principles. And I appreciate your time. Pull the other part out. Yeah, I think, just to reiterate, when we met with Lynn and Andrew originally, I think the concept was to come in with 80 units, try to do a little more robust development, and I think we heard loud and clear that the town, it just wasn't gonna be supportive. You know, there's traffic on Main Street, and so we said, okay, let's, what can we do? We listened to them, we went with 49 units. They said, hey, if you're gonna go this direction, we wanna make sure that these townhomes have 2-car garages. That's it's a totally different product than a 1-car garage townhome. I think when you do that, you open up to a diverse set of homeowners. You could easily have 20 to 30% retirees, which really tend to use their cars at off hours. They're not going during peak times. I think, the 55% open space, I think was a big deal. In general, I think you heard Andrew say that, by right, I think it's 10%. We do see, picnic areas, walking trails in this area, along with, the connection to the funded rail trail, which, I would argue that it's great for development to have density where you can get out for the community and get on a bicycle and, walk downtown, exercise. I mean, I think health is important. So I think, when you're having citizens out of development where they don't have to get in a car to drive, I don't know about you guys, but I'm in Charlotte. They have a lot of places you can enter trails where you have to drive to, and I never do. So unless I walk from my house, it seems like that doesn't happen a lot. I do think, I was talking with someone earlier today, it is important to, I think, point out when you're doing developments, how does the town benefit? I think, to me, there's a lot of benefits. One, like I just said, with having density that's near your central business district. I also own some restaurants, and I'm a partner in a brewery. And, we go to small towns, and you hear people over and over again, the citizens say, what would be great is if our downtown was revitalized. If our downtown had a brewery, if our downtown had better restaurants. But it requires people, and it requires income, and it requires, a lot of times, more people closer to downtown. Especially the older downtowns that have a lack of parking because they were built, with people that walk and live nearby and the rail. So, I do think, having that, having this project that's relatively close, and I know that's not gonna happen, the rail trail's not happening tomorrow, but it is funded. I guess maybe in several years it'll be there. But this property obviously is not being developed tomorrow either. I do think,
it will keep people out of cars when you're trying to get citizens to have a place to walk and eat. I think, you have a church that's directly next door, and, I would have to believe that that church, is gonna get a few of those residents that might become, members of the church, and then, every church I know has a daycare and a preschool. If you have 120 people living there, and you get 30 kids, 40 kids, it can make or break a church. So, I think that's a benefit, not only for the community, but for the church. I think, and this is my personal, I'm talking my book, but I do believe it. I think having a diversity of housing and diversity of pricing of housing might be one of the best duties, the greatest duties the community leaders can bestow upon their town. And what I mean specifically by that is you drive down to most of the new build product in Troutman, and the single family detached are $450,000. And, in this environment with 7% interest rates, every $100,000, is around $700 more a month, which is, will break someone. So, the product we're looking at, which is gonna be a nice product, is gonna be more in the low 300s, which is a big deal. So I think, when you're trying to provide housing for police officers, firemen, veterans, school teachers, I think it is incumbent upon leaders of those communities to try to figure out zoning in certain districts, especially closer to downtown, that can provide that for their citizens. So I'm not a big believer in rent, so I'm not, renting if you don't have to. If you go to Charlotte and some of these municipalities, they approve, it seems like thousands of multifamily units that are for rent. And I think when you can provide housing, especially through zoning needs, for people that can buy and pay the monthly, I think it's super important. I know from my perspective, my parents, there's 5 kids, they have 0 401k, they have 0 IRAs. The only thing they have is a house that they, bought when we were young, and that's all they have, and they're in their 70s. And it's now mortgaged again, so they could pay some of their bills. And I think this is the type of product that, in towns like this, where you have 450,000 homes, this is how you accomplish it. I think having a product where you have so much green space that in maybe 3 years you're connected to a walking trail, I just think it's a good product, and I hope you guys can support it.
Do we have any questions for the applicant?
I do. You mentioned the relative closeness to the church here I'm looking at on the map. I don't know if you could cycle back to the overview. It doesn't look very good on the, but it looks like a lot of access points to 21 right there where your intersection is going to be. Have you talked with the church at all about connecting that driveway and maybe reducing the points but directly into the neighborhood?
We haven't, but but obviously we would do that. I would say I was there tonight. I drove, and this is parking facing vertically. This is relatively flat. It goes up this way. We're not opposed to this at all. Obviously, I'm a big fan of connectivity. The question would be, do the elders of the church want to remove parking right there to put a drive? And maybe we can make up parking somewhere in this area and step back or something. But I would agree that I think.
What church you talking about?
New Missionary?
Missionary, that's where, there's a big
Andy.
house right there.
Andy, wait, you'll have time.
So yeah, I would say we would love to do it. It's not our property, but if the church says, hey, this is a great idea, I think we would, they might lose a parking space or two.
Andy.
Is that a
Hang on.
cost you'd be willing to bear in order
Yeah.
to?
For sure.
Okay.
What is your feeling towards helping that access point there, because you've got traffic coming out of the subdivision and other houses that attach to or are part of ours road, and obviously on Sundays you're going to have it, maybe other times of the week too, traffic coming and going out of the church, as well as busy corridor there on Highway 21, South Main Street. what's your feeling on, having left turn lanes, to provide, turns so that, finding another lane for turning traffic, coming both, both ways, whether it's going in Byers Road or turning into your development?
My feeling is, we looked into it with our engineer, and it's pretty difficult. I mean, for a project this size and dealing with the berms that fall off, it's like 500 linear feet of roadway to try to just make it. It takes a turn, that bend, and I just don't think we can accomplish it. But, I mean, I think my feeling is, the politics of Main Street and Highway 21, that the state needs to spend some money on. That's my feeling, and I don't know enough about how that system works, but.
Are you willing to hold your breath?
Yes, yeah, I am.
You are?
I'm willing
We're
to-
not.
Yeah. Like I said, I feel like, if you can make that argument. I guess what I'm saying is, I drove up and down Main Street because I was early tonight, going back and forth, and, there was no traffic post 6 o'clock. But, everyone's got their own curb cuts. There's commercial, and, you know what I mean? So there's not a whole lot of continuity, and so it's like you can kind of make that argument for every parcel along that street. I don't think we have the ability to solve it with this property, regardless of whether this was 30 single-family detached homes, or 49 townhomes. But we looked at it. We looked at it.
Your concern again for not being able to do it, your engineer saying, I don't think.
Yeah, the
it's
engineer
viable.
saying it would be so difficult that, and costly. And when you reduce from 80 townhomes, if we went for the high density, like, then we might be able to get involved with the state and see if it's possible. But from what I heard, it's like chicken and egg, right? It's like you want 80 units, and then maybe I can put in the turning lane, but then that's too much traffic. I gotta do a TIA because it might be too burdensome. And then if it's too costly, then I can't do it anyway. So.
I would like to ask, I believe Andrew had mentioned that there are setbacks for future expansion for 21 anyways. So, did I understand that correctly, that there's gonna have to be an amount of setback from the road for future expansion? But also in the question of a left turn lane, you don't even own the property
No.
that a left turn lane would be able to be added to.
That would be their responsibility, not mine.
Yeah, no, I
Your
hear
guys' part of the
I
project.
hear
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I understand, but I'm just, I mean, I
I think
understand
it's hard
asking, and
to do,
I'm
yeah.
on board with asking the same question. Just don't see the property acquired.
There, sir, due to the fact there was only 49 and not 50, there was no TIA done.
Correct.
Did you guys do any information at all? I know not a TIA report, but traffic
We
information.
did not, just because we didn't need, I think, if I remember correctly, it used to be 100. I think, there's a reason, as you get to a certain point, it's negligible, meaning like, it's not gonna affect the traffic, because not everyone leaves their house at the same time, so as you approve things, I think there's a reason they come up with those numbers, but we didn't have to do anything, therefore we didn't. Obviously, if we had the larger amount of units, we would have done it, we would have seen what it came up with, but we didn't, we didn't spend the money.
Do we have any other questions for the applicant? All right.
I'll ask one
By all
more.
means.
You're at 49, medium density would put it about 41, 42 maybe, rounding off. We split the difference, take it down to 45 units. Is that a deal breaker for you?
I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure, but I would say if you're gonna give me 45 units and tell me you're gonna approve it, I'll probably have to talk to the seller back here, but I would probably say we should do it.
Well, two of my problems. Number one is getting that more down to what our UDO calls for medium density. And even with getting it down to 45, you still got people coming out of the point there that, certain times of the day, if not, more than certain times, that can be a problem for people coming off of Byers Road as well as, out of that development. So that's another one, but, I'll be honest with you, if, for me, that's still a little bit over, but it's closer than the 49 you're offering or proposing, would be 45. If you can come down to that 45, I'd be more inclined. I'm not saying I would or not, I want to have discussions amongst ourselves when this hearing is over and so forth. But,
Yeah, I feel like I'm on Shark Tank, it's like, well, Nicholas, what do you think?
We don't have any money, man. We don't have any money.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's gonna be part of the discussion of these units, the numbers, they've got anywhere from 80 down to 49, that's still not where our UDO or our, future land, development, impact, is, asking us to go. And, that's what people are clamoring, is, we're not following our, land use plan.
Well, I will say this about the land use plan. Every city and town and municipality it's a framework. How does anyone know, think about it, like, you have so much property and you're coming up and you're trying to do the best you can with what you see around. But then as you get things like this, you try to iterate a little bit and be thoughtful. Oh, here's a rail trail, maybe we should do more density here, and not when these future ones come in, do 800 units. So I do appreciate the difficulty of being someone like Andrew and planning that has to look at these things and make judgment calls, and then everyone wants to just hammer them as if, they should have known that every little parcel should be exactly the way the UDO said. It's very difficult. And I think that's why it's a good framework, but it requires people to be thoughtful about each individual one. And I think we try to be as thoughtful as possible with the open space, the units, the reduction. And, I would love your support on what we try to do. I think it's gonna be good for the community and.
Well, again, you're here for one time, I'm here for all of these rezonings. And I'm hearing the public, because we're not necessarily always following the land use plan, and it's a framework. The framework is, you generally follow it. Yeah, you've got exceptions but when we're getting an over mix, you're trying to mix your business with your residential, but then when you get to residential, you're trying to mix, your 2 to 3 homes per acre versus your mixed residential versus your apartments and so forth. And the duplexes and so forth. And I'm not seeing that mix. It's getting a little awkward. It's getting a little
In
skewed.
the town.
And I want to get back on densities and following our densities. And I'd like to see us get back closer. I'm not saying we've got to be right on the money, but getting closer, that's why I'm saying let's split the difference. They make it 45. I would also like to see the traffic situation. But again, that's, it's something that is key in my mind, is to start following our land use plan more closely. What we've done in the past is we have used it as a very loose framework, and now I want to see it more as a more directed type framework, if you will. Not to be followed strictly, anything like that. As you say, it's a framework, it's a suggestion, but, we need to follow. This is the wishes of the people. This land use plan was formulated by committees made up of citizens, as well as elected officials and staff and so forth. So, this is not something that we just came up with on our own. And this is what the people that live in this town, in this community, are wanting. And this is what I'm expected to follow. And, that is my dilemma. I understand you're in business, come in and put up a product and you go home. I've got to still be here and listen to the people that I was elected to represent. So, these are things that I have to consider. And, when I say, can you do this and that, and, I get hesitancy, I wonder if the developer is really interested in just putting it up, making the most money they can and going back home, or if they're really interested in helping this community and making a profit at the same, making a living at the same time.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I understand your position totally. And I would love to help, I think we try. If the council doesn't wanna give us 49 units and they think the fair thing is to give us 45 units, I think we should take the 45 units. You know, I know you're not speaking for everyone else, but if it helps the council, I'm trying to work with you.
Do you need to confer with the property owner like you had mentioned? Do you need a moment?
Yeah,
Can I step up?
Certainly.
Hey, my name is Jason Willis. I'm the owner of the property. I'm a resident of Troutman. I've been for quite a while. The couple points I wanted to make was, when you were talking about the density, is at 49, it's only 3.62. That zoning could allow up to 12, is that correct? And we're only proposing 3.62, which is, you're saying 2 to 3, pretty close. That's the reason of, you know, a slight variance. The other thing is about the entrance. So in talking with DOT, the reason the entrance is proposed there is because they want it to line up with Byers Road. So that'll be an intersection with Byers Road. Did you have any questions for me?
Yeah, the same question resonated with Seth. In your conversation with DOT, did they mention anything about the number of access points on 21 in that area with the church having 2 and
No.
condensing them
No,
into
they were
your...
just more concerned about it lining up with Byers, so you didn't have multiple access points.
So we
Is
go
it-
with 45 units?
Is a traffic control device out of the question too, sir?
I think for the developer it is. I think that's it.
Because,
Well,
I mean, my hang-up is traffic. And the citizens, I concur with Councilman Hinkle, but I hear from the citizens, traffic problem.
Listen, I
So
think,
there was no, I mean,
I think
there's no
I think I was
TIA
bringing him
thing.
up here just to get his agreement with, if we're gonna do the 45 units. I mean, I understand the traffic and all that, so I think that the goal is, we'll reduce it to 4. I mean, he's the property owner, not me, so I was looking for him to sort of say,
Yeah.
we're on
I mean,
board with
that's-
doing 45, if that's what it takes. So
but
I
my
think-
concern is more about traffic, with installing traffic control device.
Yeah, I don't think the state will allow us to do that.
State could possibly be open if you guys are willing to pay for a traffic control device,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just.
with the town's help. I mean, not that we're gonna help, but we could help push that with the DOT.
Yeah, I don't think we can afford it. Now we're losing more units. I mean, I don't think 45 units is the reason that intersection needs a full traffic, you know what I mean, signal. Regardless, I mean, I think, you know, you guys say today, like, it would be nice to have today, right?
Yes.
So it's-
It would have been nice to have 2 years ago when the state of North Carolina said that they were
I
gonna
agree.
come through. We got left holding the bag.
I
on
agree,
this one.
I'm
So
not a fan of the
it's
way
now-
they do business. Yeah.
It's now on us, right, to try to mitigate the traffic problems we have. We're out in the cold here, right? So
Yeah.
the state ain't coming to help. All we can do is go
Sure.
with our developers that come and wanna do projects like this to the state. But if you won't come with us to the state to ask,
Well, I mean, I'm
Right.
trying.
You know, it's
Trying to help.
not our responsibility to help you incentivize profitability on your project. Ours is to represent the people, what they want in this development as part of the community and in the traffic flow that is already horrendous. You made a comment that you drove by a few times. You know, you obviously came by at a very fortunate time. That street or highway is busy.
Yeah, no, I did.
But at certain points of the day, it's
I
even
did
busier.
know when it's bad. I got it.
But again, as I say, you know, with Councilman Now's concerning the traffic, you know, you say you can't afford it. Well, it's not our responsibility to make it to where you can make a profit at it. It's to make it to where that addition is.
But the town also has a requirement with the TIA over 50 units for a reason, because at 49, 45 units, it's negligible for these roads for what's already going on there.
Well, it may be negligible in somebody's mind, but it's not us, elected representatives. We have a traffic problem.
I think we're going backwards. I thought we were doing.
Well,
I
no, we're
hear
not
you.
necessarily going back. I just said that was one thing, was at 45. And then Councilman Now, which I had already brought up, and Councilman Now has kind of, you know, followed up with it, and I concur with him that the traffic signal is, I think, and the turn lanes are something that, at least a traffic signal at the very least, if not the turn lanes, because you do a traffic signal, you won't have a situation we got right here in downtown. If you got one car turning, then everything else
That's
backs
what I'm
up.
saying, I think it might be worse.
So we need another lane in there, turning lane, coming from each direction for these people, so that they don't hold traffic. And again, that is, that is what we need, and that's what would be make it a better development down there for our communities. And, it's gonna cost more money, I'm sorry, but that's not my situation here, is to make sure you leave here making a lot of money, or making money, whatever. It's to make sure that whatever is built is suitable for our community.
I would like to point out, please don't take this personally, all right? I know I can feel it in the air too, all right? So we have to do this with every developer because of what we've been left with out here, right? So I just want to, like you said, I think we're going backwards. I agree with you. I think we're kind of going backwards, so let's just kind of slow it down. Do we have any other questions for the applicant?
I mean, I have two questions, one for Andrew. If I understood that correctly, it could be developed with up to 12 units per acre?
That's what the base RM is.
Yeah.
So, but as it's currently zoned, it's no more than 2 units per acre.
But the land use plan is to rezone it as RM.
The land use plan is 2 to 3 units an acre.
It's medium density.
Yeah, so if you do 3 times 13, you end up with like 40 units. So we're basically asking for 9 units.
And, we can say 3.6, what is that? Well, next time, 3.8, what is that? Let's do 4. One more, what is one more?
Right.
So 3.2. I'm trying to get it down to where, we're getting to where at least people can
I'd
say,
say yes.
okay, it's
We were
very
close.
slight,
Yeah.
but
I'm in.
3.2.
Yeah,
You had a
I
second
understand that. And the second question, and maybe it's a two-part question, is I heard Andrew say that there's already going to be a setback for future road expansion, correct?
Well, I want to, you see the site plan up on the board?
Yes.
This piece right here is a separate piece of property. So this piece is the piece that is adjacent to 21. So it's owned by a separate property owner. So that whole portion of this site that you're looking at now does not front on 21. So the only portion that would front on 21 is here. So there'll be plenty of room on that portion of their property to expand 21. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so
Right
it'll be
away. You mean
reserved.
right away, right?
Yeah, right away. Okay. Right, so I think that kind of, the question around allotting property for a turn lane, it's already allotted in the setback. Am I understanding that?
Well, you would get into probably some kind of issue with the property owner here about using their property for a turn lane. So I can't speak on how that would go.
Mhm.
You get the issue takings and stuff. So I'm not sure how that would go. So you might run into an issue on that portion.
Okay. And it sounded like the property owner had spoke with DOT. Would you be opposed to paying into whatever DOT required, be it $5, $10, or $15,000 for a signal? Would it be?
Would I do that?
I mean, would it be an option? I think that's what.
Yeah, I mean, I would
Well,
definitely
you can
contribute.
have turn lane too, you put a signal there, and we're gonna have kind of like what we have up here at Fairfax Store, South
Mhm.
Street. And that would make it worse, in my opinion, possibly. I'm saying the signal along with the turn lanes, so that you don't have traffic going straight, it's not held back by one person waiting to turn or something.
Understand.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you very much. All right, at this time, I'd like to open it up to the public. If anyone from the public would like to speak on this particular rezoning request, please sign in and state your name.
Hello, my name's Andy Boo. I live beside that missionary church. And, my dad had to fight this about getting his property back years ago. Made him have a heart attack. And, trying to build behind the house, they just started cutting trees down. They did so bad right. My dad had to get him a lawyer, and he worried about that a lot. My dad owned pretty good much behind that. When I leave this world, it's gonna be left to my sister's grandkids. So I don't want people to start building back there, cause what I got, it's gonna be left, my sister's grandkids. You gotta think of other people. not just take the money. The money ain't gonna get you to heaven. You know what I'm saying? Money ain't gonna get you to heaven.
Andy, you gotta sign in. Sign in.
Yeah, just be sure to sign in for me,
I
please.
did.
Oh, good, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Poole. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? All right. In that event, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. So at this point, I will open it up to council to consider adoption of ordinance 13-24. If there's any further discussion you would like to have amongst yourselves. The floor is yours.
Well, I think I've already made my point, I stand clear. You know, there's a place out there, for this type of development. However, in the townhomes, I certainly don't see any apartments there, even though that's not what we're talking about tonight. But townhomes would serve a purpose of ownership to property owners, but a little less than what is being offered. But equally as important to me was the traffic control, the flow of traffic down there that will be added even with less units. So, you know, those are the two things. I think one, with the units possibly we can work out, but you seem to be at an impasse with the traffic control and the flow down there. So that is still a problem for me. You've got one bottleneck that's similar to what I'm talking about would exist down there, even if we got the state to allow a traffic signal to be placed there. It's not one there, then again, it's just whoever gets to the intersection first and get out without getting hit. And then I've come out of Byers Road numerous times, and sometimes you have to go. It's not as it was described a while ago, and I'm just saying it. I'm not saying it didn't happen. It was just a very unique time that is certainly not all the time on that highway anywhere between here and exit 22, even down to Morrison for that section, for that matter. So again, you know, those two things are laying very heavily on me as far as making a decision to allow this rezoning or not. And one other thing too is the land use plan, as I said, is there for purpose, and you know, I would like to see us start following a little bit more and get a better mix of houses that are a little bit further apart, a little bit less per acre than what we've seen. We've got a good mix of that now in town, and I'd like to see us maybe swing back a little bit to the other way. I'm not saying that mixed residential no longer has a place in town. Of course it does. I'm just saying maybe twitch the mix a little bit and do it through our UDO that in which the people have spoken what they would like to see in their community. And with that, I'll pass the torch to whoever else.
Does council have any other questions or discussion? If that's the case, I will open the floor up to receive a motion, if anyone would care to make one, regarding the adoption of ordinance 13-24.
Well, sir, I will make the motion under the current circumstances to deny the request, leave the current zoning in place.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to deny the adoption of ordinance 13-24. The motion has received a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
So, majority 4 to 1, the motion passes. How do I correctly state that?
Is there a way to postpone this? To review the
Sir,
traffic light?
the public hearing is
No, I
over, and they
understand.
just made a motion.
I get it.
And they are doing that. So to answer your question, once they are finished their business, you certainly can contact an attorney if you wish to go that way, but they just voted. It can't be be undone now unless one of them brings it up next month that was in the positive for the motion. And what that means is there was a motion, a second, and 3-1 vote to deny. So if one of those wish to bring it up next month for reconsideration, then to your point, yes, it can.
Motion for reconsideration and be denied.
Correct.
Would have to be the 9th.
Has to be the same week.
All right. So, as we stand right now,
The only thing I'm gonna say is, there was discussions Monday of continuing the meeting tonight and not closing it. So, if the meeting is closed, then it's different. But if the meeting is continued, as we had suggested Monday, continuing this meeting for a separate issue, it can still be brought up until this meeting is closed, contrary to what Gary just said.
No, that'd be correct, because it's the same meeting.
okay, okay.
It'd have to be 3, at those 4.
One of those, yes.
Yeah, 1 of 3.
All right, so I will need the next item is I will need a consistency statement.
I'm sorry, 1 of 4, I said 1 of
4,
4.
yeah, 4 to 1.
I'll do the consistency statement, or, yeah, you wanna do that, Jim?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Action describing consistency example, if rezoning to CZRM. Rezoning to conditional zoning mixed residential is consistent with the 218 Troutman strategic plan desire to provide different housing and price points in Troutman. Therefore, the proposed request is reasonable and in the public interest, and it proposes to allow residential developments in the areas of Troutman where it is appropriate.
Can I,
Yeah, we're gonna have
that
to,
does not align with the
right.
earlier motion.
Right.
Do
Oh,
you
so this one?
inconsistency statement
Okay.
or-
Gotcha. Okay, action to reject example. Rezoning to CZRM is inconsistent with the 2035 future land use map due to the future land use map showing the property to be developed as medium density residential, as the development is not single-family residential, and it is not in harmony of the surrounding area.
The consistency statement has been read in full. Is there a second?
Second?
Any questions or discussions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. All right. So that brings us to item 10 on the agenda, which is a continued discussion regarding a request from Cedar Stump Pub and the owner Jeremy Shaw. And so I will now turn it over to Town Manager Ron Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We started this discussion a couple meetings ago and had a lengthy discussion Monday. However, Mr. Shaw could not be here and give some response or answers to some of you all's questions on communications, timelines. But just to remind everybody in attendance and those that may be watching, last month Mr. Shaw appeared and requested that you all consider either A, selling the property to his landlord, who was interested in purchasing a portion of the property, or B, to consider leasing to Mr. Shaw a portion of the property. Also, to give a little bit of a backstory for everybody, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Back when COVID started, the governor shut down a lot of businesses similar to this by stating that people could not meet inside in certain quantities. Mr. Shaw assumed that he had a certain area outside his business that he was renting from Mr. Patel and his wife, who owns the property, and he went and then built an outdoor stage area, sitting area, gathering area. It was mostly used for people gathering. However, then later it became on an occasional basis, some folks would use the stage to perform live music and or to get out of the weather if it was raining on outside. It's a good metal roof. makes its own music, so to speak, when it's raining. And everything was fine. Then they got wind that, what used to be the Nationwide office building was possibly for sale. They had conversations with the property owner about possibly purchasing it. I can't speak to all those communications. However, the town, 8 months, 10 months later, had also heard the rumors and approached the property owner about possibly purchasing that office so that it could be used for a passport and expansion of personnel that the town needed. A price was agreed upon, and they agreed to sell, at which point we were then made aware after a survey that a lot of this items, the majority of it, that was built by Mr. Shaw initially to save his business because of what the state rules were, was actually not on his property at all, that he was leasing. He then reached out to the town after the town had purchased it, and he and I have had a couple conversations as to would it be appropriate for him to continue, and I just simply responded that one, would have to talk to you all, two, our insurance, and three, the town has numerous ordinances in place to see what all applies. So after talking with insurance, after talking to town attorney, after talking to you all, in April, mid to late April this year, I notified Mr. Shaw that he would need to remove all those items because of several factors that I just said. Our UDO, our insurance carrier, and the advice of counsel. And he had till June 1st. Mr. Shaw showed up in June and asked you all those options that I just stated. After our last meeting, you all's directive at that meeting was for Mr. Shaw to do several things. One, to get a survey. Two, to increase the insurance to $2.5 million for liability, and make sure that the town was an insured or indemnified up to a point additional insured, I'm sorry, is the proper terminology, on his policy. Mr. Shaw stated at the meeting that he knew he had $1 million policy and would take care of that the next day and then get that extra, try to get that extra on there. I'll let him tell you as to the conversations with insurance and the different limits. Even though you all asked for $2.5 million, that's just not a standard thing that insurance writes. So at this point, unless you all got any questions of me, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Shaw. Mr. Shaw, if there's anything I left out, please let me know.
I'll tell you what, you did a pretty good job recapping that. That was solid.
Any questions for Mr. Wyatt? No?
All right, well, first of all, guys, is this thing good to go?
Permission to play the PowerPoint?
Can they play the PowerPoint so you can do, yes.
Okay.
I just thought it would help. Cool. Just to be certain, is it left and right here?
That's right, and in the middle is your laser pointer.
All right. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. Okay, first of all, I want to apologize to each one of you council members. I heard that, there was a lack of communication between Mr. Wyatt and I on this matter. Read the newspaper article about Monday's meeting, so as far as the email trail goes, a lot of people don't know this, but Duck and I, we actually talk on the phone. I mean, we got each other's number. I was kind of under the impression that if it was something that you guys needed right away, that maybe you would call me like we've done in the previous, or text me. I've got 4 different businesses, and that's one email that I just don't check every day, so I humbly apologize if there was any inconvenience there. That wasn't part of anything I was trying to do as far as throwing this under the rug or anything. And really, there's no better time to shed a little light on this guy. A lot of people don't know this, but during this pandemic, I can count on one hand how many people called me and checked in on me when I was shut down. And Mr. Doug Wyatt right there actually called to check in on me. So, you know, if you want to believe all the stuff on Facebook, go right ahead. But at the end of the day, I appreciate that. That meant a lot.
Thank you.
So moving forward, I apologize that it took forever to get this insurance in. It's the middle of July. My agent went on vacation, and it was one of those deals where I had to figure out exactly what I could do to accommodate what you guys were asking. My current insurance right now is $1 million per occurrence and a $2 million aggregate. So I had one claim that reached to $1 million. Say something were to happen, and I had to have a claim for $1 million. Well, then I'm covered. If there was a second claim that happened that reached $1 million, well, then I'm covered. A third claim, it's out of question. So I understand where you guys are coming from, where y'all want a $2.5 million, and that's where my insurance agent advised me that I can maybe pay for a umbrella policy. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with an umbrella policy, but it's to add an additional policy, and what it would do is, they gave me the rundown here. If I was to add $2 million, it would be $1,800. $3 million would be $2,700. $4 million is what really it would be if y'all wanted me to have the 2.5. That was going to cost me $3,600, and then at a $5 million would be $4,500. Like I said, I know originally you guys wanted a $2.5 million occurrence, so I wasn't even sure if this was even, you know, something that you guys would consider. So I can't just fork out $3,600 in a hope, you know. So I was kind of under the impression that we were going to talk about it at this meeting to figure out what route we were going to take. Let's see here. I tried to get this as soon as possible, and like I said, it took me about 3 weeks to finally get this. But I do want you guys to know that the next day after the meeting that we had in June, I did add the town of Troutman to my $1 million policy. So there was insurance on that property. It wasn't that I didn't do any of that. All right, moving forward. I know y'all asked for a survey. The first guy I had, he was going to charge me $800. The guy ended up flaking on me. I got another guy that was going to come out. That was going to be another $1,200. With that being said, I'm paying double rent right now. Taking over Subway, and I mean, it's just really, I need to make sure I'm spending my money where it's most efficient. And I thought at $1,200, that was a lot of money to maybe have an if. You know, I would like to know, hey, we're for it or not before I go and spend that money. And like I said, you know, I thought at this meeting, this is where we would discuss that, and I apologize again for assuming that. So the second surveyor, he wanted a copy of the survey the town has of the property when it was purchased. That was something that I would need to get, and then he wanted to know exactly if there was a clear line where it shows what piece of the parcel was zoned commercial and which piece was zoned residential. With the space out back, I know there was a comparable market analysis that was maybe asked. And as far as that goes, this piece of land right there is really a unique piece of property. I don't know how else to say it. It's a unicorn of a property. My wife's a realtor. She's been in the business 10 plus years, and for half to be commercial and then half to be residential with no access point, it's really a kind of a hard property to even do a comparable comp on. If it was all commercial, then that would be easy. But because of that, there was really, I mean, as of right now, it being residential and having no access point to it, it's kind of just sitting there like a duck in water. It's really not any kind of use for that property unless it gets zoned. So like I said, it was very hard to even get any kind of comparable market analysis on that. Moving forward, I talked to our talented attorney, Gary Thomas, and he explained a lot to me, and thank you for your professionalism, I appreciate it. So I learned more in depth about the rezoning process of that area. If it's considered residential and we're trying to change it to commercial, even in order to sell that property to Dr. Patel, which if you guys need a certified letter, I have one from Dr. Patel and his wife that says they would be willing to purchase the property. I didn't know if I heard that maybe I need to bring that. I've got a copy for everybody.
Yeah, good.
Oh, okay. Andy was telling me.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Well, I think we can have the extras, but
Well, I didn't know if all y'all wanted one that was there.
I do, but yeah, I know they always take them to her first.
You're good.
Hey, man, I'm trying to follow the rules, bro.
I know T-Ross is watching, all right, so.
Just to clarify one thing that you
Yes,
did
sir.
say you were correct on, you did hand one of these out last
I
week.
sure did. Yes, sir.
Paul, you said there was one of these handed out last month?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there was one handed out last meeting.
Where was it?
What was it? He handed them too.
I handed it to the table there. It
Oh,
was,
it never got to us.
I was told to hand it there and it would get to you guys. So,
Okay.
like I said, I heard that no one knew that there was a certified letter. It was here in June. That's fine. You got it now. I just want you guys to know that they are willing to purchase that property if you guys wanted to sell it. So anyways, like I learned more in depth about the rezoning process. Mr. Thomas told me it could take anywhere from 30 to 90 days to even get the residential side converted to commercial. The town would also have to give everyone an opportunity under state statutes to upset bid on the property and publish the land. And they have to put it in the newspaper that it's for sale. You gotta give people an opportunity to buy it. If it's a lease agreement, the rezoning would still have to occur, and there would be no guarantee that the rezone would even be rezoned to commercial. I mean, that's still up in the air. So, the more I think about this, I feel like there's a lot of things that have to happen. I don't know how long this is gonna take, and after learning all the stipulations, and I know you guys have got way bigger fish to be frying, I just decided I'll humbly move the stage. I feel like part of this, I'm attached to that area. All right. During 2020, there were some dark days for me. I'm the first to admit. I've always been a very happy-go-lucky guy, but that was a dark year for me. And part of the way I handled my frustration and anger was clearing that place out, and then being able to have that place to reopen my business, to save it, and hey, put food on my table and a roof over my head. It's a sentimental area to me, but I've got to realize, like, at the end of the day, this is business, and it's a lot that you guys are going to have to do in order to even make this happen. And I want you guys to know, like, I 100% appreciate you guys even considering this. But with all that's going on and everything that Gary told me, I feel like it's best if I just humbly move the stage, and maybe we can figure out another option where we could still utilize this area as a town. And I've kind of got an idea that I'd like to present to you. This area, I know it sounds stupid, but it's kind of like a guy that builds a car from scratch. His hot rod. But one day he's going to sell it and cash in, and it hurts to see it go. And I mean, that's kind of how I feel about this property. I put a lot of blood, sweat, beers, and tears in that place. So it's just sentimental to me. But I've got to get over it. I got to man up. So that being said, I wanted to explain to you guys about social districts. This is a new trend that is really happening all around us. And when I say all around us, I'm talking about actually in our neighboring towns and cities. I mean, you have Statesville and Mooresville. If you want to know what a social district is, I'm going to explain it to you. Social districts are an area in which people can walk with open to-go containers of alcoholic beverages. They may include both indoor and outdoor areas of businesses that are defined an area during the days and hours set by the local government, so you guys can actually create like when it can be a social district and when you can turn it on or turn it off. A social district may include privately owned properties, including permittees and non-permittee businesses, multi-tenant establishments, as well as public streets, crosswalks, parking areas, whether the streets are, parking areas are closed for vehicle traffic. Doug White and I talked about this. He's very aware of what a social district is. I just wanted to, give you guys a little bit of insight that I think we could really make something special if this is something that we could do. In September of 2021, North Carolina passed a new law allowing establishments of social districts or defined outdoor areas in which individuals can drink alcoholic beverages sold by permitted establishments. Within each district, alcoholic drinks can be purchased, carried around, or even enjoyed in other participating establishments. So a lot of times how they do it in Mooresville is there is an official cup that you buy. The cup can actually have the town of Troutman logo on it. There's even ways to where if you buy a cup, some of the proceeds goes back to the town. But if you wanted to say, for instance, leave the Cedar Stump Pub and walk over to Bottles and Taps, I would then take your cocktail or your beer, I would put it in that cup, and then that allows you to be able to walk to other establishments. As long as your alcoholic drink is in that cup, you can walk into the other establishment, enjoy a drink, and then if you wanted to get a beer, say from Bavarian Kitchen or Pellegrino's, if you wanted to walk down there, you could have that cup filled and then walk back. It's kind of a common ground, so to speak, of all the businesses accepting that. The downtown Statesville Social District, this is the outline of it. It's been a very, very big hit. Having a pub in Statesville, I've learned a lot about this. They do, not only do they do art crawls, but they do wine crawls. They even have the Live After 5 that I'm sure you guys are aware of. But, yes sir, yes sir. So in all reality, it benefits everybody. Not only the bars and restaurants, but I mean the boutiques, all the small guy businesses. When we're talking entrepreneurs, we're out here busting our butts every day. I know you guys understand what it is to be an entrepreneur. So it's one of those things where it kind of brings the community together, so to speak. This is the outline of downtown Statesville Social District. They're already on board and they're doing very, very well with it. Mooresville downtown, this is their social district on the bottom there. If you read in the orange there, I know it's a little blurry, but it's 7 days a week from noon to 10 p.m. So that's their government guidelines. And you only can take the alcohol in that area. I'm a big motorcycle guy. I go there on Throttle Thursdays. Tilly Harley Davidson has brought their Throttle Thursdays there, and the main street is lined up with motorcycles and hot rods, and everybody goes around, live music. It's a pretty cool scene. I also like to take my kids out there when they have the food truck rallies. I don't know if you guys ever been downtown Mooresville when they have the food truck festivals, but that's really cool. You get to try different food from different varieties,
Yeah, they have music too.
They have music too, yes sir, they do, Andy. If we keep going, this is what I propose for the Troutman Social District. Now, granted, this is just kind of a hand drawn on my phone, and I mean, if we need to get a little bit more in depth, we can. But Duck and I were talking. I mean, we need more shops coming in that downtown area. I know you guys are looking for a tenant right now. I mean, if we had a cigar shop that came in that did bourbons and cigars, or a sandwich shop, I mean, this allows all the businesses to be able to share the same customers, and if you look at that little circle at the bottom there, all that hard work I put in can still be utilized, for the whole town and all the people that live here. I also put, if we could go down the trail, and where Pellegrino's and Bavarian Kitchen, this would allow you to be able to walk the Greenway. Say we have a party in the park going on, it allows you to carry alcohol to the Troutman Park, which I know we sell alcohol there on certain occasions. And this could be really good, and you guys could have all control on when it happens and what time frame. Speaking of the liquor, I think if we did go, I'll go back to this. If we did do this, I think this would amp up not only beer but liquor sales as well. I've seen our liquor sales here, and that was pretty incredible. I'm with you, Mrs. Harris. That's a lot of alcohol that's being sold out of Troutman. So I think that the people here would enjoy this. I mean, the proof's kind of in the pudding with the ABC numbers that we just heard earlier today. I wanted to share a little bit of my liquor sales. This was 2023. January was 68.36. February was 66.42. March was 88.23. April was 65.95. May was 8,856. So on and so forth. The total for 2023, I spent $86,733 at the ABC store in Troutman. I'm pretty proud of that. I've got a great staff. I'm not going to take all the claim to fame on that. I've got a great staff, and they do a great job, and I'm proud of those numbers. 2024, this is where I'm at right now. I'm already sitting at $48,000. I highly, highly believe that if we were to make Troutman a social district, the numbers would go up, not only for my bar, but all the restaurants that are in the area, and I think it would actually make us on the map to maybe compete with Statesville and Mooresville when it comes to these customers coming in town and spending their hard-earned money in our town. I know this is only halfway through the year, but if you look back at 2023, we're already on board to beat last year's numbers. So what I'm telling you is that I know the people are here, and I think this could be a really good thing for everybody involved. I don't know if you guys have read this news article or not, but right now we are second to Lake Tahoe, the most beautiful lakes in the United States. I'm going to read the article here. It says Lake Norman has just been ranked alongside Cali's Lake Tahoe and New York's Lake George as one of the most beautiful freshwater lakes in America. According to the new report by Insider, Lake Norman beat out Falls Lake, High Rock Lake, even Lake Lure to be crowned the most beautiful freshwater lake in North Carolina. They said it's 520 miles of shoreline, and it offers water sports, cruises. It's just a popular destination for people to come. Guys, we're getting to become like nationally known. And I know it's so hard to believe sometimes because I've been here over a decade now, and I just remember the one stoplight town of Troutman, and now it's turning into this area where people are selling their houses and moving out of state to come here, and I feel like the time is now to start making these changes to keep up with this growth that we have, and we've already got these neighboring cities that are already doing it. Mooresville and Statesville, there's no closer city to us that is already implementing the social district. So that's where I'm at. I was even talking about our brand. I would even be willing, now we all love the Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper song because it's retro and it's old school, but now that we're on the map, I wouldn't be opposed to even putting, Troutman up there and doing a mural that shows off what the town is, what we stand for, all those things. I think, I know I talked to my wife, we are okay if you guys wanted to do something on that brick wall, no problem at all. It's one of those things, maybe you guys can marinate on it, and I would love to come back, and if y'all want me to dig a little bit more, I can get in touch with some of the people I know in Mooresville and downtown Statesville. Maybe I can get you some hard facts, some more numbers of what the social district has done to those towns or cities. But as far as that access goes in the back, like I said, I feel like there's going to be a lot of things that we have to do, a lot of hurdles we got to cross in order to even make this happen, especially to be in government land. And like I said, I know you guys got way bigger fish to be frying, and I'll just humbly move the stage. I just needed to know what kind of time period I've got, and I just want to do whatever I can to appease you guys.
If I may respond?
By all means.
As I told a couple of you all that we've talked, and as Jeremy has stated, we had a great conversation the other day. I've already talked with Andrew, our planning and zoning director. We would like to have meetings because of the area that, and Jeremy and I did not talk about his work that he put up there, by the way. I appreciate.
What's that?
We didn't talk about like the layout, the work you did.
Oh, no.
To me, I appreciate him coming up with something to discuss as a starting point, if you will. But I do think what he is stating, as we have said before, it's time that we start those meetings. As our town attorney told us Monday, the first process of that is contacting all the business that's in that area and then doing some what ifs and maybes.
town parking lot, as you see the town buildings at the end down there, across from it to the right, there's a little grassy area, that back toward the end of that could have a possible beer garden, if you will, put out there. The area that Mr. Shaw is currently using, that there's, I would say, close to a quarter acre, if not a little more right there, that, if bushes were cut, trimmed, that could also be a beer garden or social gathering area.
Pocket park is what they call them sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But any rate, and Andrew and I talking September-ish is when he would like to schedule the first meeting, if you all are good with us proceeding to start to do that, because we would like to meet all the business owners, one, in a place to discuss what that is, what it is in other areas, but two, then walk this whole area to see physically this is the areas we're talking about and how it would work. But we certainly have been proactive. I want to say that was about the fourth time maybe that you all mentioned it Monday, that we consider doing so. I appreciate Jeremy having this map up and his research that he did on his own to propose to you. I will also add at the end of my comments, as far as giving a specific date for you all to having the stage removed, he has, as you all saw pictures, he has tape up there that is basically saying no to his customers. Don't go beyond this point. I would like to say that allow he and I to work that out. It's not going to be an indefinite thing, but at the same token, if we say 30 days and then all of a sudden we're getting a 3-week rain that we haven't had in 3 months, that's not fair to me to give him a specific timeline, not knowing what the weather's going to hold. Understanding that there can be some tangibles, we can shoot for the 30, 45-day range, assuming weather cooperates. But also at the same token, if they're 95 and 100-degree days, I don't, because that's going to take some physical labor. It's not just put a chain around it and drag it off.
Well, and next week I'm on vacation with my family, but when I get back, I'm going to get on it ASAP. I don't want you guys to think that I'm throwing this under the rug and that I don't care about, all the guidelines that I need to follow with this. And believe me, I never thought that it was going to come to this, to be honest with you, but I've been schooled and I've learned, that government property is a totally different than just any other property. And I know there's guidelines you got to follow. So I'll get back after next week. I'm going to get right on it. I mean, I'd hope to try to have it done by like August 4th. I've got some guys that, my guys that work on in my dock business with me. I mean, I got some strong backs, and it's not a permanent structure, so I mean, I literally can jack it up and roll it with some PVC plank. It's not a big deal. It's just the man labor hours to get everything cleared, and I don't know about crossing that line. I don't know if we should put a fence up. I don't know if a fence would cost more than what that little piece of property would be worth. I mean, these are, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what that residential little piece of property is even worth. You can't really get to it. But I mean, if you decide to move it commercial, then, of course, if you guys wanted to put buildings back there, or I understand it could be used, but I mean, hopefully we can use it to where it becomes a nice little beer garden area to where the whole town could utilize it. I mean, that's what I'm proposing.
But until that time occurs, you remove the stage, and there'll be no, at least on the town property side. Now, I understand certain, not you, but Dr. Patel, and you can use it up to, I think, the concrete pad, shall we say.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I understand a little sliver that's
and I mean, I don't mind keeping the caution tape up, but I mean, at the end of the day, I really, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I apologize. You were talking. We did speak the other day, I don't think the burden becomes Dr. Patel's or Jeremy's once we bought the property and we seen that the property line is where it is. And us finding out the legalities of do we allow it, can we allow it, should it be moved, and all of that, we did not want to go in and put up fencing at that time. but just similar to our other areas, I do think it's a town responsibility to put up a fence instead of expecting people that just shows up and says, well, I don't know, I was just walking through.
And it's been used for I'm sorry to interrupt, but like 4 years it's been used, so like it's almost programmed in people's minds, hey, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And I'll do whatever I can to prevent people. But I mean, maybe that's something we need to dive into to figure out. Is it better just to sell that little piece of lot to Dr. Patel? Is it better to put a fence up? What's cost efficient? Or do we say, hey, let's become a social district and we'll make that area really nice like our greenway is and have it for, you know, our townspeople to utilize and use? I mean, these are the questions that, I mean, I guess we gotta figure out answers to.
Well, on the plus side, the concept of a social district in Troutman is something that we've discussed, like town manager just said, off and on for a while now. So that is something that's definitely on our radar. All this talk about new beer gardens makes me nervous, but that's for me to deal with. But does anyone have any questions for Jimmy?
Yeah, I do. So how long have you been open?
Well, we're going on our 7th year this year.
It's about as long as the ABC store?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Has that always been your purchase point?
Yes, sir.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Can't go anywhere
So-
else.
Can't go anywhere else. If there's an ABC store here in Troutman, I have to go there, but the ABC store opened right when I did, so it was perfect. We're kind of, we started this thing together. Evelyn and I have a great relationship.
So last year you showed $87,000 in purchases to ABC store. This year tracking closer to 100. So over those 7 years and that $1 million of, I guess, mixed use alcohol that they've sold, and you've been a large part of that.
I would like to think I'm probably their biggest buyer, in my opinion. I think the only other places that sell liquor in the town is 2 Mexican restaurants that we have, Burrito and Ribs, and then Antonio's, right? Or Tony's Tacos. I think that's the only other 2. Do you have liquor? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, there your kitchen has liquor. I'm sorry.
That's what he said, 3. I'm like,
Well, I think Burrito and Ribs just got theirs, if I'm not
Did they?
mistaken.
And as Mr. Getzinger shared, there was only one for a long time, so that,
Right.
yeah.
And that was the reason why I highlighted this yellow, because, I mean, I want Pellegrino's to benefit on this social district. I want Bavarian Kitchen I want all of us to benefit on it. And, I mean, there's sidewalks on both sides of 21. I mean, we've got crosswalks now. We've got, you know, stoplights. It's not like it's a one stoplight town anymore. We've kind of got the amenities to be able to do this.
I'm not quite sure exactly, you know, I've talked to my manager some more, but understand how we're talking about setting up, you know, meetings and so forth, because, you know, one thing that you were talking about people walking on the greenway, there again, you talk town property and alcohol.
Well, and that's the deal. I don't know.
These things have to be studied, worked out.
Exactly.
And these beer gardens, you know, if they do come to fruition, you know, they have to be on private property, if again, on.
And maybe we don't call it a beer garden, maybe we call it a
next
park.
person says beer garden.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we call it a place in the shade that has beautiful tables for people to eat.
It's called beer
There
garden,
again,
sure.
if they have alcohol, they'll have to, you know.
Right, but I'm saying, but you
And
can
these
still
things
use.
have to discuss.
Right, and that's why it's like you might save yourself money by not putting the fence up if this is the route that you guys maybe wanna take.
Would you, I mean, to ease the cost and burden on the town, would you be willing to move the fence that you currently have up?
Oh,
to that
absolutely,
property
I'll move
line?
it all. Yeah, I mean, it'll look the way it was.
No, I mean, move it to that current property line that you
Ooh,
have taped up?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could, I don't know.
Who owns that fence?
I mean, I put the fence up. I put the fence up to be able to advertise. Actually, I got it here to be able to advertise the people in town that have businesses. Let's see. Well, I thought I had it up there. Sorry, I must have deleted that slide.
Yeah, what fence are we talking, I know you're on a picture, but can you describe, what fence are we talking about?
So beside the stage, do you still have the old PowerPoint from last?
I'm looking.
You're the man. He's already on it. But beside it, I put up a fence, and I've got our regular customers that have small businesses. I've got their businesses up there with their contact info, their phone numbers, their emails to try to generate business for the local people in town. I'm all about trying to lift people, and so they put their businesses up there, and if you need pressure washer, you got a pressure washer, you got a roofer, you got a mortgage lender, you got a metal guy, and it was just a way for me to have advertising for the locals in our town.
Now, I've been back there, so forth, but obviously I wouldn't concentrate on just
Right,
that,
right.
a lot of other stuff, so. Well, my question goes back then, okay, in the meantime, and it's a good idea, it's a great idea, and Statesville, Mooresville, you're right, Charlotte, so forth, so I'm not ballyhooing that whatsoever, but we do have obviously some things to work out.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, the point that we have under consideration right now, I wanna make sure, okay, biggest thing is that we have nobody on town property, especially if they have a mixed drink or a drink, consuming a drink, alcoholic drink, so forth. So how are we gonna put some sort of a, if it's just a temporary, or not even temporary, but a black 4-foot high chain link fence, something, a wooden fence, vinyl fence or something, just so people know, you're not supposed to.
And I'm not opposed to getting signs made that says, do not cross. I mean,
Okay.
I want to do whatever I can to appease you guys. I don't want you to think that I'm not taking this serious. I'm taking it serious. I understand it's government property. So I'll do.
Just something, as you say, notification, we can have a couple of posts,
And that's easy. I mean, I've got an auger. I can put some 4x4 posts in. I could even put some cedar posts in. And
obviously working out
Right.
with town manager and so forth, but,
I just don't want people to infringe on y'all's property
Right.
considering what is at risk. I
Until we work
understand now. In
things
this last 4 weeks, I have learned so much about government property.
until we work things out. But,
As we all have.
Is that more your line of thinking?
Sure. And Jeremy and I kinda talked about that the other day, is I think there's a plethora of options out there as to which way to go. To me, the simplest, quickest thing I can do is a black vinyl fence that we do. No offense, but the others rust, look terrible, are terrible. We could do vinyl. He and I talked about wood. I'm not opposed to wood. However, to me, that then becomes a maintenance issue for the town. If you do like the 6-foot high panels, that's basically what his is, or 8-foot high panels that are back there. I'm not opposed, if he wanted those there of his own accord, I'm not opposed to that, but as far as a town's perspective, I don't wanna put up wood panels and then expect our guys twice a year, pressure washing, recoating and all that, where you can put up the chain link black vinyl or some other that's not there. But if he has those panels and he wants to install them, by all means, it's no problem, except understanding if they're on his property, he can do what he wants. If they're on ours, then we need to look at the maintenance issues and all that.
All right, so it seems like to me we have an agreement, right, to where you will voluntarily move the stage.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, or at the same time, whatever, working with the town manager to make sure it's done properly and timely, all things considered, weather, so on and so forth. All right, so
So do we need a motion?
that's what I was about to say. I don't think we do.
To not sell or not lease the property.
Well, I
We
mean,
retain it.
I would say this, if you guys still want to sell that property, I mean, Dr. Patel and Jody are interested. They are.
There
But,
are
I
other
mean,
things.
There's a lot of things that have to happen. It has to get rezoned. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and I think it's gonna take a long time for that to happen, to the point that this is gonna be a burden to you guys, so I'm gonna humbly just move everything. But if, given the opportunity, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no,
And so, the way that I understand it, the motion we had Monday, right, was either sell, lease, or inaction. This sounds like inaction.
Correct.
So I'm not sure we need, the motion from Monday should still carry, shouldn't it?
No, you can either have a
Need one?
motion to sell,
Don't
to
need
not
one?
sell, or take no, or you don't have to take any action. If you don't take any action, it's dead in the water. As he said, I won't withdraw.
But the only action I would suggest is we put, and I'm not just some sort of memo of understanding of what we were saying here is agreement. We supposedly had an agreement last meeting and misunderstanding. So let's put it black and white this time. He's agreeing to remove the stage, take it down, move the stage off of town property, you know, in conjunction, working with the town manager, not to place a deadline, but to do it expeditiously,
Yes, sir.
with weather permits, manpower permits, and working with the town manager and so forth. And that, you know, some sort of a barrier will be put up to, make people aware that, no, this, you don't go past this point, it's town property.
But you need to be careful there, right?
Right,
Because
well, I
that's
mean-
just as much our responsibility as it is
Well, and
his.
that's where we need to figure out, do I need to put the fence
Depending
on
on
my
how you look
property?
That's part of the agreement.
To me, to make the process clear, is I need our surveyor that surveyed the property to come out and put the stakes back up that somebody's removed that shows this is the property line. At that point, or before then, if Jeremy likes to put the fence up there on his side, he can. If not, then we as a town will be placing an option that is aesthetically worth the investment, either black vinyl or some type of vinyl fencing to on our side. So one of the two will need to occur.
But if you guys don't mind, I'm saying if, I wanted to move this because I know that has to be rezoned regardless. There's no way that's gonna stay residential there with no access point. I know that has to be rezoned to commercial. Say 3 months from now, we realize that, hey, this land right here is really not worth anything, maybe we don't wanna do the social district. I would like to be able to say, or have the option, if you guys did wanna sell it, that the Patels would be interested in that little bit of nook. So I don't know how that notion goes, how to put that in, but I mean, if it becomes dead in the water, we're like, hey, this land really has no use for us, the Dr. Patel could use, I mean, you know, but at this time, it's gonna take maybe 90 days for it to even be rezoned.
And the way that I understand the legality of it, no matter what we say tonight, if you can come back and request, you know, there's no, so we're not gonna change the locks or anything.
No,
But Jerry, we also don't wanna mislead, Mr. Patel, or that he could possibly lease this or buy it. Cause right now, we're saying we're not gonna lease it, we're not gonna sell it.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion at this time. I'd like to, well, first, you know, I appreciate your ability of retracting this instead of kind of pushing against the goads on it. I would ask that you give graciously a little bit more into that in this motion, that we retract our previous motion held out, or rescind our motion from Monday, to be replaced with a motion to give Mr. Shaw up to 90 days to remove the stage, the fence, and any other personal or commercial property on the land at the discretion and communication with the manager, that be coordinated, and that you would also install your fence on Dr. Patel's side of the property line so that the town doesn't have to bear any burden of your customers entering the town property.
Are y'all asking me? I thought
No,
it was a
that's
motion you
my
made.
motion.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I was just getting looks, I was just.
Yeah,
Can I, on a question?
yeah, absolutely.
What about, right now, we're not interested in selling it or leasing it, is that part of your motion?
Correct, I have asked that his fence be moved and installed on.
And it will be as soon as I get
Yeah.
back from vacation.
And that
I'll
would
be
be protections just for him, his business and his customers, and us not having to bear a burden of trespassing and calling police and every other issue that could arise. And
Can I suggest we amend the motion to just say a barrier will be erected on the line at the
I
proper
mean,
time?
the manager and Mr. Shaw will discuss this
Right,
within that 90
lay
day
the
period.
details to as far as what fence,
It's
what
all-
material.
it's all in
when
the town
we
manager's
box it,
discretion.
And that was what I was saying, if this town, if y'all decide that we wanna become a social district like Statesville has and like Mooresville has, I mean, a fence might not even be necessary.
Right.
And that's where the guideline, like, okay, do we wanna spend all this effort and energy and money and putting a fence up when, hey, if you guys are gonna start talking about it in August or September, this very well could be a social district to where there doesn't need to be a fence, so.
Well,
we
to
gotta
your
protect
point, and
ourselves.
I agree with what you're saying, however, I will say in my opinion, putting up a fence, because when we have a social district, there will be hours that it can work or not.
You're right about that.
So by having fence up, it at least stops people from just rambling across the property unless it's opened during those hours. And there could be several gates throughout, depending on what we have to do.
And I'll be honest,
Once it's
guys,
a certain time, they're open.
I've got a lot of work ahead of me, like, you know, once I get all my permits and being able to expand and, you know, furniture's gotta be built and all that I mean, to add a fence to my plate right now would be a lot. I mean, it really would be. But, I mean, that being said, I'll do whatever I can to appease the council.
I would propose, and I'm just again, to make things clear, that, again, in the meantime, you leave the tape up that you now have.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, until such time as.
Right. Once we get the survey back out there, then we'll figure out what we gotta do.
Well, and I mean, I would add to that, the fence and the construction thereof is discretionary between your communications. So, you know, being that you have to pull other permits, this would just be an added permit to what's already has to happen for your current construction. It is an extension, I guess, of grace and hard work, but being that if we do decide to incorporate that into a social district, it could have some great benefits for you as well.
It's set up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's set up nice.
So,
If and honestly, personally, I hope we do a social district. My own personal feeling. And if that day ever comes, the fence can be pulled up
Right.
before the sun sets. You know, so you know, so I think we're not locking in. You know, we're not really closing any doors here.
At the end of the
But
day,
I think we're moving forward amicably.
I got attached. I mean,
Yeah.
and I know it sounds ridiculous, but I just put a lot of hard work in that.
Sure.
And I gotta man up and just realize that, hey, this is what it is, and I gotta move on.
Sure thing. So we do have albeit a rather long one, but we do have a motion on the floor.
so,
Do we need to have it repeated for the clerk, or
I've got it recorded,
Yeah.
this
Okay.
one,
have fun with that one?
unless you wanna repeat it, please.
yeah, and just for clarification, the 90 days is at the discretion of the manager, so if there's traction in the social district, change of temperature, then it's up to him and the communications with Mr. Shaw to,
And then if we have a
to take care of this.
cataclysm, Mr. Shaw and the town manager can come to council and ask for it, and you know, that's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
When I came into this, guys, I didn't realize it was gonna be this complicated, so I'm sorry I've taken 2 months of y'all's time. I didn't realize that government property had so many rules, regulations, and guidelines that you had to follow, and I've learned a lot, and I appreciate your time.
I really appreciate your efforts.
Yes.
I know there's a motion on the floor, but I'll just simply say, to me, the description on this situation is fluid. Things are still fluid, which means they can change, and I'm sure will change. We're just trying to set up as best we can, some sort of agreement, so that we're all hopefully on the same page.
Well, after y'all's meeting Monday, I personally felt bad. I mean, you know, it wasn't me trying to hide any information. I was just trying to get it out as quick as I could. You know, with the umbrella policies, there's a lot involved. There's a lot of money involved, and you know, it's just one of those things. I feel like the best thing for all of us right now is for me to humbly just move everything. Hey, thank you for your time.
So we still have a motion on the floor.
Yep,
Need a second?
there was a second.
There was. Did I get a second?
Who's the second?
I thought it was Eddie.
No,
Oh, I'm
he asked the
sorry.
question.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Well, under the circumstances, at least, the main thing here was that we got to, I'm gonna go ahead and second it, but I'd like to make a comment. I'll second it, but the
All right.
comment is that, you know, we've got tape up, they're off the town property, there's a barrier there, the tape indicates, you know, you're not to be on town property till we work this thing out. And that was my biggest concern. So right now the town is, you know, is out from under the liability of a possible accident happening there and being a burden to the town financially. And we're moving on. He's removing the stage, which was of course a magnet for people to come out and so forth, even maybe if there's no one performing. So I'm seconding for those reasons that I think we've got the main concerns. And as far as whether we'll sell it or not sell it, lease it, not lease it, all of that will be discussed in the future. It's not a dead issue. It will be discussed at some point in the future. So that doesn't mean that that's dead and buried either. But for right now, you know, that's the reason I'm saying this, because it does give some sort of guideline for the next several months.
All right, so the
I would-
motion has received a second, so I would also like to say, just, we're both protected. The town's protected, you're protected,
Absolutely.
And I would,
right? And so now we have grounds where we can move forward, do it the right way, you know, and
Yeah, and
I
that-
loved your idea with the social district.
Yeah.
You know, so-
And at the end of the day, it can't be even leased or bought until it's rezoned to commercial all the way down that parcel.
Right.
And that could take 90 days, we're talking 3 months, so
Right.
I can have it gone in a week. And hey, if it comes back to where I can rent it, or I can, you know, buy it, or Dr. Patel buys it, then, I mean, I like to put it back, I mean, it's, you know, it's.
Right. Very
I'd
good.
like to offer just a point of clarification. In that retraction of our previous motion from Monday, it also removes the cease and desist so that he can access the property without any kind of criminal prosecution to remove his
Oh, yes,
equipment.
yeah.
So I just want to make sure that
I'm just
that,
talking about the payment.
yeah, I
Sure.
just want to make sure
Hey.
that's clear for his behalf and
Yeah.
the legal behalf
The
that,
people who don't
that's
have
lifted.
the need or reason to be there.
Right.
Obviously, his workman would be, he would be. And I'm talking about patrons.
Yep.
Or somebody walking down the street that just wants to take a shortcut.
I made it 39 years without a mug shot, I'm not sure.
Good deal, all right, so we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had a discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thanks for your time, Jeremy.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Right, so that concludes our old business. And we have no new business. All right. Got it in my packet. We stated, never mind. All right, yeah, so that brings us to section 5, which is public comments. The public is invited to address the town council with comments or concerns. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual. Speakers must sign in at the podium and adhere to town policy number 51, titled Policy Governing Comments from the Public at Town Meetings. And so at this time, I would like to open up the podium to anyone who would like to make a comment on anything at all. All right.
He said I was trouble, but I'm not trouble. I'm Gwen Spain and I live on Charlie Street. And we have a problem with the traffic. The traffic goes too fast through Troutman. And most of us are senior citizens out there now. Going down Charlie Street, they think it's a runway, and we need to address that. That's all.
Ma'am, what's your name again?
Gwen Spain.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, typically we'd wait till the end to respond if necessary. Ma'am, I will talk with the police chief tomorrow, and I'm sure you will see something in the near future that we're trying to address.
All right, thank you.
That's where I look. He's usually sitting right there, and I'm like, oh, he's not here. Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone else like to speak? Constitutional right. All right, so I will close the public comments section, and that'll bring us to the elected officials' reports and comments. I will begin to my left with Councilman Jarozinski.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate everybody that came out to speak and present their findings today. And just on behalf of the town, resonating from Monday, the employees did a great job with the 4th of July event over at the fairgrounds. Good entertainment, setting up the food trucks and traffic control and guidance in the parking lot. It was just top notch. And really nothing else. So pass the mic.
Fantastic, thank you. Council Lady Harris.
I too appreciate everyone for coming out, for speaking. Jeremy, Andy, everyone who spoke, Ms. Gwen. Glad to see you, Ms. Mary. I mean to call you out, but so glad to see you tonight. But also wanted to speak on the parade and the fireworks. Just amazing job. All of our staff is not here tonight, but everybody who helped, please tell them again that we really appreciate all of the work that our staff did. I honestly was bragging to my family members who live in Mooresville. I said, our fireworks are just amazing. And they said, really? So I guess we'll have people from Mooresville at our fireworks next year. So Mooresville people may be watching and mad, but whatever. But they were great, and our town did an amazing job with that. Hopefully we'll see everyone. I hope I'm not stepping on anybody's toes on July 19th for Party in the Park. The Party in the Parks have been great. The last one I went to was amazing, and I'm sure that the next one will be as well. So we will see you all then. So.
Thank you. Councilman Now?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Just real happy to see the good progress on our second grocery store that's going to be in Troutman for our residents and citizens. Extremely pleased. They're doing some real good work, and hopefully soon we'll have a second grocery store in a town for our residents and citizens.
Thank you, Councilman Now. Councilman Hinkle?
What's already been said, really, there's nothing I think I can add to it except congratulations on your inaugural sitting in the mayor's chair. You've done a fine job, and we're not finished yet, but so far so good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I was thinking of, I have no comments. I'm not going to extend this meeting 1 minute longer than I have to. But that is true. I missed the first one. I'm very much looking forward to Party in the Park. I love it. And then, of course, right on the heels of that, we'll also have National Night Out next month, which is also wonderful. And yes, I am one of the ones that gets there very early, and I get one of the free meals. So I encourage you there to get on time because they run out quickly. But yes, and so with that being said, I will now turn it over to staff. Town Manager Ron Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. As we mentioned Monday, typically, and just for everybody that's viewing tonight that didn't Monday, typically we recognize an employee of the month. And just for those that are just now watching the first time or were not able to be here Monday, this past month, I would say 65–75% of our employees individually could have been identified because they exceeded the normal standards of their duties and goals. The department directors, there's just a lot of them. I don't want to start mentioning names. I'd have to go with 40 or offend somebody that I forgot. But the fact is, with the events that we have had in the last month, the long hours that was done for some of the events that you all commented to, as I have said before, I'm not critical of how other towns and cities do things, but in Troutman we take pride of it being a town staff and town employees and elected officials that are putting on the parade. That way it's not left up to volunteer groups to come forward and what happens, happens. Also for the Independence Day celebration fireworks, we've had a lot of compliments from people who were excited. We can never make everybody happy all the time, but there was a lot of conversation and thought process that went into should the fireworks be on Saturday night like has normally been held or move them to later. We found that a lot of people that participate in the parade either as participants or as spectators, as hot as it gets on most of those July days, they don't want to come back that night because once they got home, got showered, got air conditioned, they're just fine to watch it out the window or hear it from where they live. So moving it to the 3rd actually benefited a whole lot of people with the feedback that we've got, and we are tentatively scheduling that again upon an approval and vote by you all later. The fireworks show itself, as several of you all have commented, was extraordinary with the new vendors that we have used. But again, that took a lot of staff to come out and put that on that evening. While sometimes people don't always read our post or warnings that we're going to close this down, that down, that was the quickest. We emptied the largest crowd we've ever had that night, even though it aggravated some folks from where said, well, no, you're not gonna turn left now, you need to turn right or vice versa. But I do think each and every one of the staff members appreciate you all complimenting and several of you all seeing different ones and telling them so in person. And a lot of our folks in the community that have done the same. The next thing I will say is for all of those that have shown patience and grace as we transfer from one trash vendor to another, thank you. For all of those that haven't, we are still trying to work out the process as best we can. The one thing that I would like to share publicly for everybody to think, because a lot of people will say stuff on the surface without much thought behind it. And a lot of folks, typical first comment they say is, my taxes pay for you to pick up my trash. I shouldn't have to be paying a separate bill. And I just want to remind everybody that that's been a discussion that we have had numerous times. I'm sure Councilman Hinkle can tell you a lot more times than I'm aware of that it has been discussed. But without the long version, the simple explanation is, since I have been the town manager, we made the conscious decision, how much does it cost to pick up trash from every house? And everybody tends to agree that if they're picking up 3,200 homes trash, it costs the same to pick them up at every house. So if we start charging that fee on your property taxes, then right now, the estimation of what it's cost us is 1.5 cents for every additional tax rate, and then you wouldn't have to pay a monthly trash fee. But the problem with that equation is, for some of our residents that live in $500,000 homes, they're now paying 2 times more to have their trash picked up because it's on a tax rate. For our residents that have $1 million homes, they're paying 4 times more because it's on a tax rate. The fairest way for us to charge all of our citizens to pick up trash is in a monthly bill, because it don't matter if you live in a $60,000 home or a $4 million home, it costs the same to stop and pick up your trash. So the councils before decided it was unfair to charge a tax rate change and then your taxes for ad valorem pay for trash service. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that. And we still have some residents in my tour today that the old cans have not been picked up, but I think we're about 95% there. And we still have, I think, about 80 homes for some reason that the new cans still have not been delivered. But hopefully by the end of business today, both of those will be handled, and please let us know. I'm sorry for the frustration that it's caused, but as Reverend Burgess and I discussed on the radio this week, some people appreciate change. Some never will. Some like it to get here in a hurry. Some want it to be slow and methodical. There is no way when change is necessary that we're going to make everybody happy. But we had no choice in this. We just tried to make the best choices of who our vendor was, and understand that for a month we got to grin and bear all of these complaints and issues. But thank you for hearing me out, and I hope Debbie will have that tax thing in the paper so we'll quit getting the call about my taxes paid.
I hope she forgets to write the article.
Hey, this is your
But no, thank you. And do you have anything else to tell me?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. So at this point, we will move into, of course, pending a motion and approval, move into closed session with a short break in between.
I will make that motion to move into closed session with a 5-minute break in between.
I don't know about 5 minutes, but motion on the floor.
Both of those, the one you have here and then the one I called.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor to move into closed session after a short break to discuss General Statutes 143, 318, 11A6, as well as 143, 318, 11A5. We have a motion on the floor. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much, everyone.
Just so everybody knows, the only persons allowed in closed session is town council, our clerk,